Hello everyone, Helen here. Thanks for popping in to see me today. And if you're new, then this is my craft room where I try and make a podcast every week and tell you all about the various creative things that I do. So it's very often knitting and crochet, but sometimes it's sewing and sometimes it's all manner of other crafty things that I have a go at. Or sometimes I take you out to different places. But today's video really is a follow-up to the podcast I made a couple of weeks ago. So I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But just before I forget, because I could quite easily get to the end, forget to say this. If you happen to be watching this before the end of April 2023, then if you're going to Wonderwool Wales, you might just bump into me because all being well, I'll be there on the Sunday the 23rd. And so if you do happen to be there and you see me, please come and introduce yourself. It would be so nice to see you and to say hello. So I'm very excited about that. I've never been to Wonderwool Wales before and I am extremely excited about it. I'll not be able to sleep for a few days before. I'm so excited about going. So anyway, and of course, if you're not going, I shall tell you all about it when I get back, hopefully, if I get there, okay. So that's that little message I wanted to give you. So yes, following up from 2 weeks ago. So I had bought a Clothkits kit to make a doll. And Clothkits produce their patterns printed directly onto a piece of fabric, and then you just cut out the pattern pieces from the fabric and put them all together, and in this kit that I bought you make a doll and a set of clothes. And yeah, I thought, I'll be able to do that. Quite straightforward. And of course it turned out not to be very straightforward at all, and I had all sorts of problems along the way, but I did actually end up with a lovely doll who I've called Lily. But anyway, that's a sorry tale there. It was, of course, my mum heard all about it. I told her all the things that happened. And of course, she has seen last week's podcast as well. And so she said to me, why don't you come over with the doll and with all the pieces, and I'll have a go at helping you out. Because my mum is really very experienced at sewing, following sewing patterns, using a sewing machine. She makes clothes for herself. She's made lots of dolls' clothes. And so she is a great person to have as a teacher. So I went over there and I even stayed overnight so that we had a bit longer. She only lives about 20 miles from me, but I said, well, I'll stay overnight and we'll have plenty of time to tackle the next part of this doll project. So anyway, the first thing was when I took my doll out when I got there, she said, you can't leave the arms like this and the legs like this, because I had put one of the arms in the wrong way round, but also it turned out I put it on the wrong side. It needed to be on the other side of the body, because in the instructions it tells you to put the arms so that it's palms forward with the thumbs up, and the pattern has got little fingernails printed on it, so you can tell the difference. And one arm should have been at the other side and the other way around. But I just decided to leave it. And the legs, although I didn't do too bad a job of the legs, but I hadn't quite got them centred where I sewed them in, so that the seam down the centre of, both of the legs really wasn't really very central. But again, I thought, no, I'm not going to take them out. I'm just going to leave them as they are. I am going to embrace my imperfections and then just move on. Well, my mum said, embracing imperfections, nonsense. You can't leave it like that, she said. So here you are, if you want to do them. So she very kindly took out the arms, swapped them round, made sure they were the right way and sewed them in. And then she said, oh, do you know, I can't leave the legs like this either. So she took the legs out, centered them, and so Lily had a really lovely makeover. So her arms and legs are perfect now. It was really funny. Mom just couldn't leave them. You can't leave them like that. Anyway, so the next thing was that I handed over the pattern and the pattern instructions and the pieces for making the dungarees, which I had just puzzled over and became really frustrated that I just didn't understand what to do. Anyway, my mum started reading the instructions, and then she started turning the pattern pieces round one way and then another way. Said, "Are you sure these are for the dungarees?" And yeah, definitely they are. And she concluded that actually the pattern instructions were not really all that helpful, because the pieces that I had for making the dungarees weren't shown to be quite the same shape on the instructions for a start. And there were all sorts of details that really should have been in the explanation of what to do. And so for my mum, as a very experienced sewer, it did take her a little while to figure it out, and I felt ever so much better because I just had thought I was completely stupid that I couldn't understand what to do. But anyway, she did figure it out, and so the next morning we went into her craft room and got going with actually making the dungarees. So my mum decided that probably the best thing was for her to use her sewing machine, and that I would just watch and learn. And I took lots of videos, and she showed me what to do. Partly her sewing machine, she doesn't use a foot pedal to work the machine. She has buttons on the front, and we decided maybe that it was a step too far for me to be trying to work it with these buttons, so and I was happy with that. And I did do the hand sewing parts of making the dungarees, and so yeah, I watched carefully, and I learned ever such a lot about following the pattern, and about, for example, how to put bias binding in place, and so it was really, really useful. I'm not sure if it made me feel more confident about tackling the other clothes that come with the kit, because they have got some extra fiddly things on them, like the blouse, and I think the dress as well has got a little collar, which I think if you're very used to using a sewing machine, and especially if you're used to doing smaller things, I mean, I think, if you are good at machine patchwork, and you're used to lining things up and doing quite fiddly little, curves and things like that, I don't think it would be a problem. It really, really, the main problem was my lack of experience. So we just worked our way through, and Lily did end up with a lovely pair of dungarees. So I'm going to show you a little video in a moment of just some of the process of making them. And I did then, when she had her dungarees, I then decided that she really needed something underneath the dungarees. And as there wasn't time for us even to start on the blouse or anything, I knitted her a jumper in some nice sparkly white wool. And actually, I used a really old-fashioned, I would call it old-fashioned knitting pattern, just a booklet of dolls' clothes, to knit. And oh my goodness, I've got so used to knitting things maybe in the round, all in one piece, or at least in minimal number of pieces. And this one was done in so many, I say done in so many pieces. There was a front to back and 2 sleeves. That's not a lot. But you then had to pick up stitches just for the front neck, and then just for the back neck. And then you had to pick up stitches for the sleeve, the shoulder openings. And I ended up with absolutely loads of ends to tie in to this, this tiny jumper. So I didn't enjoy that part of it. Anyway, I'm pleased with how it turned out. And I had already knitted Lily a dress as well, which I think I showed you in the previous video that I'd made. So I'm quite pleased with those. Anyway, here we are. Here's my mum and I working on making these dungarees for Lily. So my mum has made a few dolls before, and she's done them in the Waldorf style, which I have, again, chatted about before. And maybe I'll have to link that podcast as well, where I was talking about dolls, all of my dolls and things. But she's made 6 Waldorf dolls altogether. So I have one of them that she made for me. 2 of them went to one of my nieces, Libby, so a little girl and a little boy doll, and then she's kept 3 for herself, and I'm going to show you them a little bit later. But my mum has lent me the book that she's used for making these dolls, most of the dolls that she's made, if not all of them, and so I just thought I thought I would show you the book. She's lent it to me to help me to get started on making a doll that doesn't come in a kit, like Lily. And I've also come across another book that I decided to buy about doll making. So I'm going to do a little bit of a flip through now and show you those books. So the first book I want to show you is this one here that my mum has lent me, and it's the one that she's used to make her Waldorf dolls, Simple Cloth Daisy Dolls. It really is quite a beautiful book. It was originally published in Danish. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce the author's name there. So she explains how she got started in doll making. And there are quite the most beautiful photos in here. So very, very clear instructions on all the materials that you might need to get started. And I mean, throughout the book, the photos are fantastic. And so the instructions are written out, and also you get photos to match up with each one. So that's great. So if you like words best, you've got them there. And if you need photos to help, which I always find helpful, then we've got them there on the other side of the page. So yeah, lots and lots of instructions. Here's one for shaping the head, adding skin to the dolls. So it really, it looks as though I could manage to do this. The only thing my mum didn't like in this book is that the eyes are done as little stars. She just didn't like the look of that, so she did a different kind of eye, as you've seen already in my doll, if you saw that. But it does give you down here lots of different options for eyes. And then ideas on doing the hair. And yeah, adding short hair. And then finally there's a section on making clothes for the dolls. Oh, they're just beautiful. Oh, look at the plaits there. Oh, aren't they just gorgeous? There's a crocheted hat there as well. And oh, there's a good view of some of the clothes. Trousers and pants. And then at the back of the book are all the patterns for the doll, for making a doll, and for all of the clothes. So that really looks like a super book. And the other book that I've got to show you is this one called Making Soft Dolls. Simple Waldorf Designs to Sew and Love. Yeah, well, I never quite believe the word simple. I don't really think they're simple. But so in this book, there's dolls of different sizes. There are very small ones, different types. There's a greater variety than in the book I've just shown you. And yeah, again, materials that you'll need. And here we go. So this is when it starts to show you how to make bodies and heads. And so it is nice that they've got all these pictures here to help. But they are just drawings, and I do think that photos are usually better, not necessarily, but I think these do look quite clear here. And then yeah, so you can see here now there's different types of dolls, different, for little babies and then for older children. And so this book does, I don't know if I'm flipping through too quickly there. Oh yeah, and even has Doll's House dolls and accessories. So there's all sorts of things in here. And you do also get the patterns at the end. Although in this book, unlike the other one, you have to often enlarge the patterns. Whereas in the other book, they're the actual size that you need. So I'm just going to finish off today with a very short video to show you the 3 beautiful Waldorf dolls that my mom has made, which live at her little flat, and they're so lovely. So I'm going to say goodbye to you now and then just finish off with the dolls. So I hope you are having a nice, busy but not too busy time, that you're taking good care of yourself, and I will look forward to seeing you again before too long. Okay then, bye.